term because I suspect what you were trying to do was turn a kind of, well, basically a monetary sense of ownership into a psychological sense of ownership of some description. And in that sense, maybe there's a difference between what we might mean by, kind of rent on cash that we've already got, and a sense of caring about whatever that thing might be, the organisation, the community, the peer that you're crowdfunding for, whatever it might be. But this is a particular problem when we talk about public ownership, obviously, isn't it? So, in a state like ours, we've got 50, 60 years now, some understanding about what it might mean to have, say, a publicly owned National Health Service. But I'm not quite sure how that then translates into senses of psychological ownership, in terms of the idea of caring about that thing in anything other than kind of rhetorical terms. And obviously this becomes a particular problem if we've got certain kinds of co-ops or social enterprises, I'm not quite sure whether these are always the same things, which appear to be cannibalising parts of public ownership, and presenting in some senses, I think, political problems for those who wish to both be enthusiastic about co-ops, but also wish to be enthusiastic about senses of public ownership, whether that's sort of transport or the health service or anything else. So that's the thing about ownership. The second thing I wanted to kind of just encourage us to think about, I suppose, was something about self-employment and the gig economy and all this stuff. Yeah? Because that seems to be one of the most significant developments in the labour market, variously celebrated and demonised by different kinds of commentators for different reasons, but presenting particular difficulties, I think, in terms of collective forms of organisation. Clearly, in the case of the music teachers, they seem to have managed to do something interesting there, but it'd be nice to know something about the conditions of possibility for those forms of collective organisation for people who are economically self-employed, separate units. And the third thing I'd like to, well, I mean, anybody, chip in on really is something about the kind of international comparisons here, because we don't live on an island. We are connected in all sorts of ways to the rest of the world, and it would be kind of a bit myopic, I think, to think that we can grow a sustainable, and I mean that in the green sense, a kind of to grow ourselves an alternative form of economy without also thinking about the connections to a whole bunch of other states and corporate actors who are also shaping the world that we live in. So I'm not sure that it's enough to have a kind of an economic strategy, if that's what we're aiming for at the end of the day, about how we build co-ops in this country without thinking about how we're connected to a whole bunch of other places too.